Hi everybody, it's Az here from Heel vs Babyface, and the video that I'm going to bring you today will show you the new Warlock talents which are going to be introduced to the upcoming World of Warcraft expansion, Mists of Pandaria. Now the way that this talent system is going to work is it will completely replace the current tiered talent tree system which we have at the moment. So when you turn level 10, you'll be given the ability to choose a specialization, and as a Warlock that will be either Affliction, Destruction or Demonology. Now that will give you access to a set number of spells and abilities. However, it will also limit or completely cut off access to other spells and abilities. So for example, as an Affliction lock at the minute, I can use Corruption and also Agony. However, if I was to choose Destruction, I do not have access to any of those spells at all. And if I was to choose Demonology, I do have access to Corruption, but I don't have access to Agony. That is specifically an Affliction spell. So depending on the specialization you choose will also depend on what spells and abilities you have access to. Now you no longer have to go to your trainer to learn spells and abilities either. They will automatically be granted to you or updated when you're in the field. So it certainly allows you to be out a lot longer than you should, instead of having to level up, go back to town, learn an ability, come back out. Now every 15 levels, this is where the new talent system comes in. You'll be given the option to choose one of three interesting new abilities, and what I really do like about this system is it's trying to pull you away from what we used to call the cookie cutter talent tree system which we have at the moment, where the majority of people will actually fall into a category that they put their points in a set position to maximize their DPS, and everyone's talents are the same and everyone's specs the same, and things like that get pretty damn boring very quickly. So these new talents are meant to revolve around your style of play. So when you turn level 15, the first one that you're going to give access to is Dark Regeneration. Now Dark Regeneration will restore 50% of your maximum health and increase all healing received by 25% for 20 seconds. Now this is obviously very much a I'm in dire straits kind of a talent. You suddenly get 50% of your health back instantly, and if you combine it with something like a health stone if you're on your own, you can be pretty much back up to full health in absolutely no time whatsoever. Now the next ability is Soul Leech, and that will allow your Shadow Bolt, Soulfire, Incinerate and Malferic Grass spells to heal you for 10% of all the damage you deal, which again, certainly in boss fights, in raids and dungeons, will really help the healer out instead of blowing their mana trying to top you up. And then the final one we have is Harvest Life. Now Harvest Life is one of these talents which will actually override a current spell or ability due to its nature. So this one, if you choose it, will actually replace Drain Life. Now Drain Life, you deal damage and you drain the life out of a single target, which does damage to them and heals you. However, Harvest Life, you will actually drain the life of all the enemies within 15 yards of that target, causing shadow damage over time and also healing you over a channeled number of 5.11 seconds. So personally, if you've seen my videos before, when I'm doing videos in low-level dungeons or just out and about, it's a very nice ability for me to just quickly whiz through trash. So I'm personally going to choose that Harvest Life ability. It completely depends on the way that you want to play the game. Now when you turn level 30, you'll be given 3 crowd control talents to choose from. Now the first one will be Howl of Terror, which will cause 5 enemies within 10 yards to flee for up to 20 seconds, but damage caused to them may interrupt the fear effect, so you have to be careful. However, if you're hit when by a damaging attack, the cooldown on Howl of Terror is reduced by 1 second. So at the moment the cooldown is 40 seconds, but that can decrease if you're under fire. And I have a feeling that's probably going to be a very useful PvP talent as opposed to a PvE talent. But we shall see. It can be used maybe for both, especially if you're leveling out and you get hit by a group of nasty mobs. Now the second one is Mortal Coil, and this replaces the existing Death Coil. And this is probably how Warlocks have really wanted to see this spell for a long time, and finally it seems to have happened. They've renamed it to Mortal Coil, and what it does is it causes the enemy target to run in horror for 3 seconds, which is exactly like the current Death Coil. However, it now restores 15% of the caster's maximum health and has a cooldown of 45 seconds. Now, if you've a Warlock, you'll be aware that the Death Coil has been bouncing between a 3-minute and a 2-minute cooldown, and it only heals you for something like 9,000 health when you're currently rocking about 140k, so it's pretty useless. So at last they seem to have really thought about what the Warlock people have been saying, the Warlock community have been saying, and have put this spell in there as really it probably should have been for 2 years. But there you go, Blizzard, better late than never. Now finally we have Shadow Fury, and Shadow Fury will stun all enemies within 8 yards for 3 seconds. So again, we have 3 CC abilities, and it will completely depend on how you want to do this game. So in effect, you could possibly do Shadow Fury and then combine it with Harvest Life, and that would be a great way to do some AoE health draining and also some AoE damage without getting people running at you straight away. Me personally, I'm going to go for the Mortal Coil because I like the thought of just getting something off me quickly and being on a low cooldown, and also having some escape abilities, which I'll show you a little later. When you turn to level 45, you have Soul Link, which we have as an existing spell at the moment, but again a slight rework. When active, all damage and healing that's been granted to you will be passed to yourself and the demon. So at the moment it just takes the damage effects, but now it will also take the healing effects. So for example, if I was to use my health stone, I would be healed for a portion of that health stone, but so would my demon. And if I was to use a bandage, the very same. So it really does homogenize both you and your demon and gives you a very nice symbiotic effect. The second one is called Sacrificial Pact, and your demon will sacrifice half of its current health. So even if it's at 50% health, it will then sacrifice a further 25. So it doesn't matter what its health is. It will sacrifice 50% of its current health to shield the master for 300% of that sacrificed health, and that will last for a 10-second period. Now if you don't have a demon active and you wish to use this ability, it will sacrifice your health and put that shield around you as well. So it's both useful for if you do have a demon and if you don't have a demon. However, because you are sacrificing health if you're on your own, it might cause problems when that shield drops. So you've got to be very careful on how you utilize this. And another one, Dark Bargain, sounds really promising, but you have to look at the adverse reaction that could happen afterwards. It will prevent all damage for 10 seconds, which is wonderful. However, when this 10 seconds fades, 50% of all the damage that was prevented when it was active will be dealt over a 20-second period. So in effect, you'll be stopping any attack or stopping any damage for 10 seconds, and then for the next 20 seconds afterwards, you'll get a dot ticking on you, which will tick for 50% of all of that damage that was dealt. So you need to have a backup mechanic available to either prevent that healing by having a healer or a health potion or a health stone or bandage or something like that. Otherwise you could find yourself in a load of trouble. However, it is very tempting to mitigate all damage for 10 seconds, and especially like to use that on the next paladin that attacks me and laugh in their face. But there you go, I shall take it. The abilities at level 60 is firstly Blood Fear. Now Blood Fear will consume 10% of your maximum health to instantly strike fear into the target of an enemy and cause it to run in fear for up to 20 seconds. Now, as an affliction lock, if I use this combined with soul burn, it will instantly class and horrify the target for 3 seconds. Now, this ability will also replace my current fear ability should I wish to use it. And again, it's a yin-yang scenario. It's a good get-off spell. However, you are sacrificing health to do it, so you have to be very careful in the situations and the spam rates that you use it as, especially when we also have diminishing returns. Now, secondly, we have Burning Rush, and I must admit this is a personal favourite of mine, and this drains 3% of your maximum health per second, but increases your movement speed by 50%, and it will last as long as you have Burning Rush available. Now, I've been using this spell since the very start of the Miss Beta, and I've found it to be pretty invaluable. I've been running around. I combine it by using a health stone, so for the first 8 seconds pretty much all of the damage is just mitigated, and I'm charging away at 50% increase in speed, and then when I take it off I top myself up quickly with a bandage and I'm pretty much back up to full health. So personally I think it's a very, very useful ability. And then we have Unbound Will. Now, Unbound Will consume 20% of your maximum health, but it will purge all magic effects, movement impairing effects, and also all effects which cause the loss of control of your character. This comes with a 1-minute cooldown, so in effect this is a trinket that will cost 20% of your life and goes on a 1-minute cooldown as opposed to normal trinkets 2 minutes cooldown. So again, you have to be very careful about circumstances in which you use this, especially if you're going to sacrifice 20% of your health. Personally, I've already put my case forward for Burning Rush, so that's the one that I'm going to choose. Now, the level 75 ability is the Grimoire of Supremacy. Now, this replaces your normal minions with these new demons that deal 10% extra damage and also have more powerful abilities, and it will tell you the new summons which you will learn by taking this ability. The second one is the Grimoire of Service, and the Grimoire of Service will instantly summon a second demon to fight for you for 30 seconds, and that will go on a 2-minute cooldown. So when you've summoned this second demon, it's done its 30 seconds worth of damage and then vanishes. That spell will then be on a 1-minute 30 cooldown before you can use it again. So I've got a feeling this one might actually prove to be a lot more useful than the others. However, we shall see, we shall see. And then the third one is the Grimoire of Sacrifice, and this will sacrifice your demon to gain a 50% increase in damage and health, and that will last for 15 minutes. But the effect is doubled for the first 15 seconds, but will vanish if you summon another demon. Now, that goes on a 2-minute cooldown, so it can be used maybe for a very nice little burst scenario within a boss fight or a difficult situation, and then you can get your demon out. You don't have to use all 15 minutes, so there's a nice bit of utility to this. Now, the one that I'm going to choose is the Grimoire of Supremacy, and that's predominantly because I want to do a video later to show you the new skins of the demons. Now, finally, when we turn level 90, we will be given access to these final 3 abilities. The first one being Archimonde's Vengeance. Now, this will cause an enemy to suffer 30% of all the damage that you take, and it will last 10 seconds. And also, the enemy that's attacking you will suffer a further 5% of all damage they deal to you. And this will be disabled, though, while on cooldown. So in effect, something or somebody attacking you could get 35% of all their damage they're dealing thrown right back at them. So again, it's on a minute cooldown. Quite an interesting ability. Then we have Kil'jaeden's Cunning. Now, you can now cast and channel while moving for 10 seconds. However, by doing so, it will increase the cast or the periodic time by 50%, but will also reduce your movement speed by 30% as well. So again, the theme of the Warlock talent seems to very much be give and take. We'll give you something, but you're going to actually have to have something nasty happen to you. And to be honest with you, I think that really goes along with the Warlock ethos. And then very finally, we have Manaros Fury, and this will increase the radius of all your area effect spells by 200%. So let's say I chose Manaros Fury and combined it with Harvest Life. I would hit my target at 40 yards or below radius, and then it will hit all enemies within 30 yards of that target as opposed to 15. So it could be very, very useful indeed. And if you're using things like Rain of Fire and other such spells which put a circle on the ground for you to pinpoint where you want to fire it, of course that's going to be vastly increased, and you're going to be able to hit a lot more enemies. So Gren is probably very, very good for trash packs or just very, very nasty scenarios that you might find yourself in. At the minute, I'm really not sure which one I'm going to go for. But there we go. That's a little look at the current talents for the Warlock. Once you learn them, they're then set in. Bang. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like, please do comment, and please subscribe to the channel. My name's Binaz. The channel is Heel versus Babyface. Take care, everybody, and bye-bye.